Hey, what is going on, Nintendo Nation? Hope you're having an awesome day. Now in today's video we've got quite a bit to discuss about Pokemon Go. We got some new updates yesterday from Niantic. Yesterday they released Pokemon Go in Central and South America. They also talked about the battery saver mode on iOS devices, legendary Pokemon, and many more things. Now I also want to talk about kind of the crazy stories we hear about from Pokemon Go as well in this video, because I want to hear from you guys if you do like these kind of stories and stuff, whether you just like a video or weekly series dedicated to these stories. So question of the day, would you like a video series about Pokemon Go relating to the crazy stories that happen every week? Because I'm always finding different stories every week and they seem to get crazier and crazier. So if you do enjoy any of these stories or stuff like that in today's video, then let me know in the comments below. But enough of that, let's get on with the video. So first of all, Niantic have finally released Pokemon Go in Central and South America, which is great because one, it's finally in Brazil, so we won't have to be reading those Brazil comments anymore, or when's it coming to Brazil? Don't get me wrong, I do understand why they were complaining, because if that was my country being left out, I would probably be posting a comment every day, like, when's it coming to my country? So I'm only poking a bit of fun at them. But yes, it's finally out in Central and South America, so if you do live over there, definitely do download the game if you haven't already. Now the only problem I will say about the release in Central and South America is that so many people have been playing the game illegally, in a sense. So gyms are controlled by like CP level 2000 Pokemon, which isn't really fair for those who have waited and finally got the game and they've got like, what, CP level 200 Pokemon, and they can't really take over gyms. Like, it's really unfair. Like, we luckily got Pokemon Go very early when it came out. We were able to play it in most countries, whether it was through the APK or just legally. So I kind of feel like it's not been a good move by Niantic delaying it so much, and I do feel sorry for the people living in Central and South America who have been waiting patiently and can finally play the game, for them not to be able to take over gyms. So hopefully they will be able to balance it out. So I will keep you guys updated if you want to know anything about that and whether anything changes. But anyway, moving on to you iOS users, they've actually talked about the battery saver, which was actually taken off iOS devices. So it turns out they removed the battery saver mode from iOS devices because it wasn't working and it seemed buggy for some users. So they say that a fix for this should be rolled out within the next several days. So I'm fairly confident to say that we should have a battery saver back on iOS devices by next week. But obviously, don't hold me to that, I'm just saying what they're saying themselves. Now, something very interesting, and probably the most interesting Pokemon Go news we've had this week and for a while, is that there were reports that an Articuno was at a gym in Ohio in the United States. And obviously a lot of people thought this was fake. They showed an email saying that they got it as an apology from Niantic, but the email did spell Articuno wrong, so again, people thought it was fake. But it turns out that Articuno was real. So it reads, a few of our legendary Pokemon had erroneously been granted to some trainers. Thanks to the help of several of our trainers, we were able to locate them and bring them home safely. So it turns out that people who were, I won't say bragging that they got legendaries, but just showing them off, actually kind of got found out about it, and people weren't happy. So they were saying to Niantic, why are these legendaries being given out? And it does beg the question, how easy is it to get a legendary if all you have to do is to complain to Niantic? I think probably millions of users could get a legendary Pokemon if that was the case, because pretty much we're not happy at the moment with Pokemon Go, but it does seem like they're actually fixing the game, which is a good sign. But it is pretty crazy that legendary Pokemon can be given out as an apology to players. Someone did mess up over there at Niantic, I think, so it is good to see that they've taken them back and the game is a bit more balanced, I'd say, although it probably doesn't change things too much. And finally, they do go on to say that they have been working long hours to fix many other bugs and bring some exciting new features to Pokemon Go in the future, because as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, Niantic said they'd only introduced 10% of what they'd planned to include in Pokemon Go, so there is exciting times ahead. Remember, this game is ever changing. Pokemon Go is very different to the main Pokemon franchise games because it isn't a final game, it's not a complete polished product. It will change over time. In fact, the game might look completely different in a year's time, so I feel like yes, we can be disappointed with how Pokemon Go has been in the last couple of weeks, especially with the tracking and them kind of not being transparent with the fans. However, this game should be up and running hopefully in a month or so, and it should be back to its best. And like I said, ever changing. We should get new Pokemon, new updates and loads more things in the future. Now Niantic go on to say that they're still continuing to roll out Pokemon Go to other countries, so it seems that Niantic's priority now is to get Pokemon Go out to the remaining countries, and then they'll start fixing bugs and the footsteps and tracking mechanism, which it sounds like it won't be footsteps anymore when it does come back. It might be something completely different because they weren't too happy with the original tracking system, that's what they've said previously. So Hopefully we will get an update on that very soon. What I do like is they're being a bit more transparent with the fans now. They weren't communicating at all, and Niantic have a track record for not communicating with their fans. So this is pretty good news, I guess. In a way, they're actually starting to change this ever so slightly, I'd say. But anyway guys, let's move on to the craziest Pokemon Go stories of the week. So first of all, a Japanese Olympic star has blamed Pokemon Go after being hit with a 500,000 yen bill, which is around $5,000. So as you guys know, the Olympics is on very soon, and the athletes are finally arriving in Rio, and obviously Pokemon Go came out the other day in Brazil, and this guy called Kohei Uchimura, who was a world champion gymnast and won a gold at the 2012 games in London, basically blamed his massive data fee on Pokemon Go. However, as we know, Pokemon Go doesn't use that much data, so I'm sure there are other factors involved, but luckily for him, he was let off with a charge of around $30 instead after phoning his carrier to explain what had happened. So, I don't know, this guy is very lucky, and that is a ridiculous phone bill. So either he's amazing at Pokemon Go, he's just been playing it non-stop, or there obviously are other things at play. Now the next story I want to talk about is a bit more of a light-hearted one, and this is a guy who's quit his job to play Pokemon Go full-time, which to be honest sounds a bit like a crazy idea, but go for it mate, like that sounds awesome. So this guy, Benny Afonso, is probably one of the top players in the world, and he's definitely one of the top players in Los Angeles. He's level 33, and he's quit his job at a grocery store to basically try and make money by playing Pokemon Go. So Benny goes on to say that his plan is to be the equivalent of a club promoter but for Pokemon Go, and basically use his status in the game to bring people to events, and businesses will pay him for that. So hopefully that does work out for Benny, because I can definitely relate to this guy, because obviously I get paid and my full-time job is YouTube, and obviously most of that is Pokemon Go, so I can definitely relate to trying to get a job through Pokemon Go. So fair play to Benny, hopefully it does work out for him. And the final story I want to talk about is that yet another body has been found from someone playing Pokemon Go. So, a man playing Pokemon Go stumbled upon the body of a woman in a Lake County field. Now this is not the first time a body has been discovered through playing Pokemon Go. So the first time it happened, a teenager found a body floating in a river in Wyoming. And another body was found by 3 women who were searching for Pokemon in a San Diego park. So it is pretty crazy how bodies can just be found by just exploring places that you wouldn't normally go. It's honestly quite crazy to think about, and hopefully we won't hear about too many of these stories again. But guys, if you do like these kind of crazy stories and you just want a video focused on these, maybe like 10 stories a week, let me know in the comments below. And that's pretty much it for this video. So that is the weekly roundup, and basically just a roundup of Niantic's news and updates. If there are any more important updates, I will let you guys know straight away. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you want to see more like this, definitely hit the like button. It's really appreciated. And if you want to stay up to date with everything Pokemon Go and Pokemon Sun and Moon, then hit the subscribe button below. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!